Okay, I was gonna do a quick review of my 2021 GASGAS EC300, or as the haters like to say, the red KTM. Speaking of, it has a KTM headlight that I just put on with a Chinese LED knockoff. I haven't tried it yet, other than I shined it on the wall. It looks a lot brighter than the stock one. Well, I guess I'll start at the front and just try to work my way to the back. The tires that come with it are they're okay for 10 hours or so. At 15 they start to get pretty greasy feeling, at least out here in the desert. I'm running this Cheater, Shinko Cheater, the super soft front fatty, which I really like that tire. The brakes, yeah, the Brembos are better. They're better, but is it something that you're like constantly thinking about and complaining about? No. But like that old KTM, which that's a 2007, and remarkably similar bikes, really. I mean, the forks are, I think they would all just bolt right over if you wanted to, but anyway, yeah, the Brembo's better, but the brake tech stuff is fine. The brake tech clutch is better though, for sure. The pull on the brake tech clutch is just ridiculously good. It's so light, and it has a real wide engagement point, so you have a lot of control. But yeah, one finger all day long. And with the brake tech, you just have to squeeze it a little bit harder than the Brembo, and it's kind of like spongier feeling. Yeah, you know. Let's see, I've got 72 hours, 1,200 miles of slow, average rider type riding, and no problems, that's for sure. Thing has been super reliable. If I was to have one thing where I would say it was a problem, it's this stupid gas cap. I know they used to vent into the frame over here, and then some poor guy's bike caught on fire. I'm assuming that's why they changed it. And then with the stabilizer, you can't run this into there, but this thing leaks. Like, it's not a very good system to keep the vapor down, and I think the EFI bikes make a lot of vapor in the tank. So I came up with this thing where I've got this long nylon hose, and the vent is down in here. But if you tip the thing on its side, it still sprays a bunch of fuel out. Or if you go over some really nasty stuff, when the tank's just the right level, it blows fuel out. And I've even got something in this hose to try to keep it from, like a vapor separator in there. It's not a huge problem, but it was annoying. Oil consumption, scary low, just like everyone says, but the engine's fine, it's happy. I haven't even used a quart in the 70 hours. So I thought it was in here. You know what? I think I put it away because I hardly use the thing. But yeah, basically, I think it's used like 2/3, maybe 3/4 of a quart. And so it's like a quart and whatever it is, a liter that they sell. Because I got the Motorex stuff, and it's used about 2/3 of it in 72 hours. What stuff have I done? Oh, I put some stuff on these. Just, you hear people talking about these hoses getting pinched, so I put some hydraulic hose wrap. I didn't go nuts because I'm not a real aggressive rider. The plastics the plastics are pretty, but they kind of suck. I mean, I just barely tipped the thing over, and a rock hit right here. You can see it cracked the plastics. I've seen other guys having issues with that being cracked. And like this aftermarket thing is a much softer, more durable plastic, so you can see they scratch really easily. You know, just whatever, it's normal. Yeah, it's a dirt bike, it's not a show car. I did upgrade the fuel filter to this thing that Slavens had, and this piece is now aluminum. This is aftermarket. There's a whole mess of KTM had an aluminum one, but then you buy that and you end up with a plastic one, blah blah. I just bought all this stuff from Slavens. I just don't have time to screw around with wondering. I put this little guard on here. It was a Chinese thing, nice CNC I think, and then it was orange, so I dipped it in acid to get the orange off. Kind of a cheap ass sometimes. And same thing, this is a nice CNC thing I think. And man, I've nailed this thing a few times. I'm glad I put that on there. It's to protect your tabs. This is just WD-40 on the chain, so I haven't done anything but wash it, try to keep it dry in WD-40 because it's so dusty here. In fact, this is about as much lube as you see on it. And I'm still not sure if no lube on the chain is good, but I'll tell you what, it has made it 71 hours with, you know, it didn't fail or anything, but it is starting to make a noise, like maybe the teeth are a little bit worn, like what lower RPMs, it kind of rattles the chain. And I had to add, at the end, one of these O-rings was bad and it started leaking rust, so it was kind of an experiment to run no lube, because I felt like in the desert all you get is this dust, and the dust gets on the oil and then you end up with this grinding powder, versus when the chain is just dry. Yeah, anyway, these pegs are awesome. I'm 6'2", and these move it down and back, and I didn't really care for this ankle saver thing, but the normal ones run back order, so I bought these, and now I love these things. Like if you lean back you can kind of feel it, but you got to really lean back. But also if you G out or whatever real hard when you're on the balls of your feet, they save your ankles from bending too far. So yeah, those are the Fastway ones. I mean, they're kind of expensive, and they're heavy. The weight's down low. I like those a lot, and they feel amazing. Like, and then for the larger foot, taller guys, that was great. Speaking of, for the longest time I kept the handlebars as low as possible and avoided the stabilizer. I just had read so many guys like Chris Birch and stuff that said keep your bars low, it helps with your handling and everything, and I think they're right. But being 6'2", eventually, so I already had the stabilizer on this old beast, so I bought the bracket which raised the handlebars up an inch, and I did that at like 50 hours. It's definitely more comfortable. I do think it handles a little better with them lower, but I'm not good enough of a rider to really to really know a huge difference. But the suspension, I definitely messed with that a bit. I put the next step up rear spring on the back, because I'm about 175 without gear, and that was awesome. It was like much better, set the sag and everything. So then I put the next step up in the front, and I didn't like it. Like it messed up the balance. The front rode too high, and it rode rough. So I put the stock springs back in it. I liked that. But then, going on the internet too much, I saw that they make a so basically the forks are, you know, they have the compression and rebound on the top. Like there's the rebound and the compression. So obviously all the rebound is done on the one side, and then like 2/3 of the compression or something is on this side, and then 1/3 of the compression is on this side. And they have this silly bleeder valve on the compression fork instead of a real valve. So this company Del Saggio makes a real shim stack that you replace that, and man, that was totally worth it. That made the front fork way more predictable. And I mean, I'm not saying that it was bad as it was, but it would blow through the trowel, and sometimes you'd, like, I ride on rocks almost only, and if you hit a rock the wrong way, it would kind of like deflect real hard and kick the front around. So that was, it was kind of expensive, like $300 or something. That was very much worthwhile. I put this TM Design skid plate on pretty early, and I mean, you can see I bashed it pretty good a few times. I'm not a super crazy aggressive rider, but I'm sure that was good to have on there. I put this, why did I put that? I don't remember. I think I might have actually bent or partially broken the other one. I think that's Enduro Engineering. Whatever, not necessary, but just gotta mess with these things, I think. Anyway, the rear tire is the Shinko 525 cheater. I had a Tusk Recon on there, and that thing was like kind of greasy. This tire is really awesome. Actually, this combination is awesome, especially for the money. Some cactus. I think it's $115 shipped from Rocky Mountain for the 2 tires, and I run the HD tubes with slime. Just pulled that cactus thorn out, didn't talk about it, but I ride in cactus a lot, and I haven't had any issues. I added the KTM fan. Don't get the Trail Tech fan, in my opinion. This is like OEM quality. It plugs into the harness. It comes with a relay under the seat. Really simple and straightforward, and the computer runs it. You know, these engines are outrageously durable. Guys that actually push these things, they get them up to 250, 270 degrees for long periods of time and no issues. I mean, unless you're a super hard rider. Well, even then, that's what these bikes are designed for, is super hard riders. What else? So, I mean, when I first, probably should have started with this. When I first got the bike, I had that KTM, which I just bought last year. It's a 2007 450 XCW, and I absolutely fell in love with it, which is why I bought this bike, because I thought things would be better and better. And they, you know, at first I was kind of like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Because I mean, I still owe a bunch of money on this thing, and that thing was paid off. But at first I was honestly kind of disappointed, but I think what was really going on was my skill level was not ready for this bike. And also it did take a fair amount of tuning, like getting the suspension and getting it comfortable. The tires were awful. Well, at least for the rocks, they're awful. They're probably fine everywhere else. But as I put more hours on it and I learned the advantage of the TPI, I fell in love with the thing. And then now I've got the KTM up for sale. And I still, I'll hop on that bike and be like, oh, it's a great bike. But man, these 300s, they are amazing. I guess I grew up on 2 strokes, and then I kind of fell in love with the 4 strokes. But yeah, you know, if you ride technical stuff, slow speed, grunty stuff, the 300, you just can't beat the 300. And the bike feels so much lighter and more narrow. I feel like they're wildly different tools, and I'm sure the newer 4 strokes are probably, you know, again, a wildly different comparison. But yeah, I guess
take it for what it's worth. But yeah, it wasn't like immediately. It was probably more that I was just worried about. I've never bought a new bike before. I've always bought used stuff, and I was just feeling guilty for getting into so much debt. But I absolutely love it now.
What else? What else? And the fact that it's a 2-stroke and it hardly smokes. You never even have to clean this thing. It's just incredible, you know, the technology behind it. I replaced this with another that was orange as well, and I acid washed it. And I run Redline synthetic, which really, it does make a difference the way these things shift. And I change it like every MT85, that stuff. Stuff is awesome. Redline synthetic oil, anything is, I mean, it's very expensive, but for stuff that you don't change very often, I think it's worth it. I don't know. I've been using it forever. Tires, brakes. What else? I mean, yeah. Been a lot of fun. I'm probably just gonna keep this bike, and I'm 41 years old, and I'll probably just ride it for the next 10 years, and who knows what the future holds at that point. Thanks for watching. Hope this helps your decision if you're on the fence about buying one. It's great. As with any bike, be prepared to tune it to your liking.